grabs the bag, shots are fired.
Who shoots the shots that are fired?
Michael Boatwright.
Robert Allen, one of the 4 men convicted in the 2018 murder of XXXTentacion, was released from prison in October 2023 after taking a plea deal and testifying against his co-defendants. Before and during his release, he gave police, prosecutors, and a jury the most complete account anyone from inside that Dodge Journey has ever provided. Here's what Robert Allen said and what it cost everyone involved. The robbery. On June 18, 2018, Yase Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, the rapper known as XXXTentacion, withdrew approximately $50,000 in cash from a Bank of America branch in South Florida. He put the money in a Louis Vuitton bag. Then he drove to Riva Motorsports, a motorcycle and watercraft dealership in Deerfield Beach, Florida. His step-uncle, Leonard Kerr, was in the passenger seat of his black BMW i8. Onfroy was 20 years old. He was looking at motorcycles. He did not come back. Earlier that year, Onfroy had been making headlines both for his music and for the legal proceedings that surrounded him. His debut album had just dropped. His fan base was following his every move online. He was the kind of person whose car model you could identify from an Instagram post, whose daily movements were public enough that a man at a probation office months earlier had recognized him and filed the memory away for later. At that same time, 4 men from Fort Lauderdale were in a rented black Dodge Journey SUV. They had been driving around South Florida with guns, masks, and a plan to rob whoever they could find. The 4 were Dedrick Devonshea Williams, Michael Sherrill Boatwright, Trayvon DeMarcus Newsom, and Robert Allen IV. Williams was 22, Boatwright was 22, Allen was 22. Newsom was the youngest, 20, the same age as the man they were about to kill. Williams was the one they called Chucky. He had prior arrests for grand theft auto, burglary, assault, and cocaine possession. He was on probation at the time and worked as a tattoo artist. He had 4 children. He was also the one driving the SUV that day and the one who recognized the BMW i8 in the Riva parking lot. He had seen Onfroy before at a probation office and recognized his car from Instagram. Williams pointed it out to the group. He pulled up Onfroy's Instagram on his phone and matched the car in the photo to the car in the lot. He had an exit pass. That was how the group confirmed their target before anyone got out of the car. The vehicle they were driving had been rented the day before. It was Dietrich Williams' idea to get a car for robbing people. They used a woman named Tony Robinson because Allen was the only one with a valid driver's license and needed to be the one to drive.
So tell us about that. Whose idea was it to rent the vehicle? You have to speak up nice and loud.
Dietrich.
The plan, as Allen would later testify, was general and unstructured. Drive around and rob someone with Ubers or anyone they spotted. They had not set out that morning to find XXXTentacion. They had set out to find anyone. All 4 of them expected to be armed with firearms. Everyone was supposed to wear a mask.
Did at any point all 4 of you expect to be armed with a firearm?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the purpose of having a mask or masks, plural?
Allen had a Springfield .40 caliber handgun. Newsom had a Smith & Wesson .38 revolver. Williams had his own .38 revolver, one with a distinctive hammer, bow, and trigger. Boatwright had a .22 caliber short-barreled rifle. When the Dodge Journey pulled up on Dixie Highway and Williams spotted the BMW, the decision to rob Onfroy was not stated out loud. It didn't need to be. Williams told Allen and Newsom to go inside and confirm the identity. Boatwright and Newsom told Allen to go in with Williams to hear it from him directly. Allen went in. He walked past Onfroy, who was inside browsing with Kerr. Allen believed Onfroy didn't notice him. Williams bought 2 black neoprene masks at the counter while they were inside. They walked back out to the SUV.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of us had it.
In the car, Allen said it was not a good idea. He told the group that he and Williams had already been captured on the store's surveillance. Boatwright and Newsom hesitated. Then Williams asked if they were scared. Boatwright said something to the effect of, "All right, we're gonna get him." Newsom agreed. Allen refused to get out. He was already on camera. Boatwright and Newsom put on masks and hoodies. Williams would stay at the wheel. The Dodge Journey moved across the street and parked. They waited 8 minutes and 35 seconds. That wait was captured on surveillance video. At trial, the lead prosecutor, Pascal Achille, played the footage in silence for the jury for the full duration. 8 minutes and 35 seconds of stillness and waiting to show them what premeditation looks like in real time. When Onfroy and Kerr came out of the dealership and got into the BMW, Williams moved. He pulled the Dodge Journey forward and blocked the BMW's exit. Boatwright and Newsom got out fast. Boatwright came to the driver's side window with the rifle.
Trayvon Newsom do after he grabs the bag?
He pointed it directly at Onfroy. Newsom came around to the same side, grabbing at Onfroy's gold chain. He couldn't get it off. off, then ran around the car to the passenger side and entered the BMW. He grabbed a Louis Vuitton bag containing the $50,000. Kerr, in the passenger seat, was ordered to stay put. He ran instead down the road, away from the car. He survived. Newsom came back with the bag. The robbery was complete.
As he grabbed the bag, shots are fired.
Who shoots the shots that are fired?
Michael Boatwright.
Where does he shoot him from? What side of the car?
Driver.
So if XXX is in the driver's seat and Michael Boatwright is in the driver's side, the shots are coming onto XXX's left side or right side? Which side?
Left.
Then, 3 shots entered Onfroy's neck. 2 bullets remained inside his body, 1 fragmented. The gunshots clipped the upper lobe of his left lung and grazed his aorta. Onfroy was unarmed. He had not reached for anything. The bag was already gone when the shots were fired. He was pronounced dead at Broward Health North Hospital at 4:51 p.m. EDT. The 4 men fled in the Dodge Journey. They crashed it during the getaway and eventually made their way back to Allen's house on 17th Court. Williams caught an Uber separately. At the house, they opened the bag.
Okay, so what was in the bag?
Money.
How much?
50,000.
They split the cash into 4 piles. Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom each took $15,000. Allen, who had stayed in the car, received $5,000. Boatwright argued Allen hadn't participated enough to deserve an equal share. The guns left with Boatwright and Newsom, the Louis Vuitton bag, the bank slips, the key fob to Onfroy's car, all of it left with them. On the drive back from Riva, they had learned via their phones that Onfroy had died.
Body was like in shock. Besides Chucky. He was not in shock. That's what I said. Chucky wasn't in shock. He didn't really care.
That same day and the day after, the group's phones captured what came next. Cell phone videos posted to social media showed Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom fanning stacks of $100 bills, dancing, and smiling, hours after the shooting. Dedrick Williams was arrested 48 hours later during a traffic stop in Pompano Beach. He was wearing orange sandals and a white tank top, the same outfit visible in the Riva security footage and in his own Instagram posts from the day. He had not changed his clothes. He had not taken down his posts. Boatwright was arrested July 5th on separate drug charges. The murder warrant was served to him in jail 5 days later on July 10th. Allen was arrested in Georgia on July 26th, more than a month after the crime. He had traveled there with Boatwright before the two split off in separate directions. Trayvon Newsom turned himself in at his attorney's office on August 7th. He was the last of the 4 to be taken into custody. All 4 were charged with first-degree premeditated murder and armed robbery with a firearm. They were indicted by a grand jury in July 2018. The case was on camera from the moment Williams walked into the dealership to the moment the SUV disappeared down the road. Detectives had the group buying masks. They had them waiting in the lot. They had the ambush. They had the getaway. What they needed, the inside story of who decided what, who said what, and why a robbery that was already over still ended with a 20-year-old shot dead in his seat, was going to come from someone inside the car. That person was Robert Allen. The testimony. Robert Allen was, on paper, the least violent figure in that Dodge Journey. He had stayed in the car. He had taken the smaller share of the money. He had even said out loud before the robbery happened that it was a bad idea. But he had also confirmed Onfroy's identity inside the store, helped plan the logistics of the vehicle rental, taken the $5,000, and said nothing to police for weeks. None of that made him innocent, and the prosecutors knew it. What it made him was useful, because the story he could tell, if he told it fully and truthfully, was exactly the kind of story that could seal 3 first-degree murder convictions. Getting him to tell it fully and truthfully was the work of a detective named John Curcio, who went by Mongo, and an interrogation room in Broward County that Allen would later describe as making his claustrophobia set in. The interrogation has since been posted online and circulated widely. It begins with the formalities of any recorded statement, a swear-in, introductions, the presence of Allen's attorney. Then Curcio, methodical and patient, starts from the beginning.
The easiest way to start talking about the case you're under arrest for, which is XXX's case, let's talk about the car, the Dodge Journey.
What follows over the next half hour is a slow excavation. Allen hedges at first, using I think and I guess when asked for specifics. Curcio calls him on it repeatedly. He points out that small lies make the big things hard to believe. He tells Allen that fingerprints are already on the car, that camera footage already puts him inside the Driftwood apartment complex getting into the Journey, that Chucky, Williams, has already told a version of events. Bit by bit, Allen starts filling in the picture. He describes how Williams organized organized the rental, how Tony Robinson's name went on the app because the others couldn't. He describes arriving at Chucky's house before going to Riva, the group watching TV, the conversation about masks. He describes coming up Dixie Highway toward the dealership when Williams first spotted the BMW and said it was him. He describes being told to go inside and confirm it.
All right, what kind of gun did Boatwright have?
Something like small, real small.
Here, like that, like a rifle or a handgun?
Right.
He names the weapons. He places the guns at Chucky's house. He confirms who had what. He describes the moment in the parking lot when Williams said to rob Onfroy of his jewelry, bracelets, necklaces, rings, and the conversation in the car where he said it was not a good idea and nobody listened.
Okay, what happens is when they see him?
Chucky cuts him off.
He describes the return to his house, the money in stacks of 10,000, the split, the immediate aftermath, driving back from Riva with the reality of what had just happened.
Okay, so you guys had to talk about something.
It was basically me talking to him. I was just, I'm gonna go to jail for the rest of my life. They're like, you'll be all right. It's not gonna happen to you.
The interrogation gave investigators the bones of a confession. The plea deal, nearly 4 years later, would require Allen to give them the flesh. On August 12, 2022, Allen pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and armed robbery with a firearm. The first-degree premeditated murder charge, the one carrying mandatory life, was dropped in exchange for his full cooperation and testimony at the trial of Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom. Allen understood the terms clearly. He would get to go home one day. The others would not. The joint trial opened on February 7, 2023, in Broward County Circuit Court before Judge Michael A. Usan. Allen took the stand on February 8 and remained there through February 13, 4 days of testimony. He gave prosecutors the frame that the surveillance footage by itself could not provide. The cameras had shown two masked figures near a car. Allen could tell the jury whose faces were behind those masks. He described the planning in the car, the decision to wait, the way Williams had directed the whole operation from the driver's seat. He described Boatwright and Newsom arming themselves, the move to block the BMW, the speed with which Boatwright and Newsom got out. That was the prosecution's framing and opening statements. Allen's testimony was built to confirm it, detail by detail. Boatwright at the driver's side window with the rifle, Newsom going for the chain and then the bag, Newsom returning to the SUV, the bag secured, and then the shots fired without any provocation whatsoever. Allen said directly, as he's grabbing the bag, shots are fired. He named Michael Boatwright as the shooter. He said Boatwright fired 2 or 3 times. He said Onfroy was on the left side of the vehicle. He said the whole confrontation lasted approximately 3 minutes. He testified that on the drive away from Riva, the group learned Onfroy had died. Boatwright turned the music up. Defense attorneys spent days dismantling him. They called him a 12-time felon. They called him a career liar motivated by self-preservation. They accused him of altering his story between the 2018 interrogation and the 2023 trial to match what prosecutors needed. The attorney for Boatwright was particularly aggressive, pressing Allen on every inconsistency, every hedge, every I think and I guess from years earlier. Allen did not collapse. He admitted he wanted a lighter sentence. He admitted he was not a reliable person by any standard measure. But he also said this, well, I definitely would like to get a lighter sentence, yes, but I definitely have remorse. I mean, I sit and look at the stand and see people crying, and I'm trying to do my best to get Onfroy's family and friends and his fans justice. The defense also had to contend with the fact that every specific thing Allen said could be checked against physical evidence, and it matched. DNA extracted from the black neoprene masks purchased inside Riva and used during the robbery matched Dedrick Williams with a statistical probability rarer than 1 in 831 octillion. Boatwright's DNA on a second mask produced odds rarer than 1 in 929 nonillion. These numbers were provided by forensic analyst Nicole Ahnat of the Broward County Crime Lab. Boatwright's phone had pinged at Riva at the exact time of the shooting. It had Bluetooth paired with the rented Dodge Journey. A box of .22 caliber bullets recovered from Boatwright's home was missing exactly 4 rounds, the same count as the shots fired at Onfroy. A separate .22 caliber bullet was found at Williams's home. Boatwright's fingerprints were recovered from the exterior driver's door of Onfroy's BMW. Boatwright's phone also showed he had searched both XXXTentacion and Accessory to Murder in the aftermath of the shooting. Williams's then-girlfriend, Tennelle Carter, testified independently. She told the jury that Williams had confessed to her that he had orchestrated the robbery and murder, and that he had then tried to get her to sign a false affidavit claiming he was not the getaway driver. She refused. Meanwhile, in the holding cells during the trial, a Broward sheriff's deputy observed Trayvon Newsom yelling at Allen during transport, calling him a police a sellout, and accusing him of working with the white man. Allen testified about the intimidation attempt. It became one of the trial's most discussed moments. Defense teams tried to introduce a conspiracy theory involving rapper Drake, pointing to a years-old public feud between Drake and Onfroy as a potential alternate motive. Investigators and witnesses dismissed it entirely. Allen stated explicitly that no one else was involved and that the crime was a spontaneous robbery with no external orchestration. During deliberations, jurors specifically requested access to nearly 1,200 text messages from the defendant's phones. They deliberated for more than 27 hours across 8 days, long enough that speculation about a hung jury began circulating online. Legal commentators pointed to the complexity of the case: 3 defendants, 3 separate attorneys, and a body of evidence so dense that jurors had to work through it one thread at a time. The near 1,200 texts alone represented hours of reading. The extended deliberations were not a sign of weakness in the prosecution's case. They were a sign that the jury took the responsibility seriously. Then, on March 20th, 2023, the jury returned to the courtroom. Guilty. All 3 defendants, all counts: first-degree murder, armed robbery with a firearm. As the verdict was read, Michael Boatwright turned toward Onfroy's family in the gallery and blew a kiss. The release sentencing day was April 6th, 2023. 3 men stood before Judge Michael A. Usan and waited to hear the number of years remaining in their lives, a number that turned out, for all 3, to be the same, every single one. For Trayvon Newsom and Dedrick Williams, the sentence was life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mandatory, non-negotiable, handed down with the quiet procedural efficiency of a verdict whose math had already been settled. For Michael Boatwright, the one who had fired the shots, the one who had blew a kiss at the dead man's family, it was heavier still. 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus a consecutive 30 years. Judge Usan looked at Boatwright directly and said, "You turned a robbery into a murder. On that day when you stood there and fired that weapon, you didn't just end one life. You effectively ended 5 lives, including your own. You will spend the rest of your life in prison, in a cell that has a stainless steel slab attached to the wall. That's your bed. And next to it is a stainless steel sink and a stainless steel toilet. And one day, they'll come and open up that cell in the morning, and you'll have passed on. And only on that day will you have served your sentence." Boatwright sat through it and showed nothing. 6 weeks later, on May 17th, 2023, Robert Allen stood in that same courtroom for his own sentencing. What the room heard from him was the thing the other 3 had never provided in any meaningful form: acknowledgement of what had been done, directed at the people it had been done to. He told the judge, "If I have to die in prison, then so be it. I know the risk I was taking. Let justice be served. Please forgive me." Judge Usan noted that Allen had shown what he described as genuine remorse, a quality conspicuously absent from the 3 men sentenced before him. The judge also cited the work Allen had done beyond this case. He had provided information that led to probable cause in an unrelated ZMF gang cold case murder, and prosecutors had told the court he had put his own life at risk by cooperating against gang affiliates. Onfroy's family had been consulted before the plea was finalized. They accepted the arrangement. Allen was sentenced to 7 years in prison, with credit for approximately 4 years, 9 months, and 21 days already served in pretrial detention. The math left him with roughly 2 years to serve. In practice, the sentence had almost already been served. The time spent waiting for the trial to happen had counted as the sentence itself. On October 26, 2023, Robert Allen IV was released from prison. He walked out to 20 years of probation, a sealed home address, weekly phone check-ins with his probation officer, mandatory in-person meetings every 6 weeks, and a standing court order prohibiting any contact with Onfroy's family. He was not permitted to resurface publicly. He was not permitted to become a story. For a while, he didn't. The world, for the most part, moved on. Then came October 2024. From inside Martin Correctional Institution in Florida, where Boatwright was housed following his conviction, the shooter found a way to unlock his phone and access Instagram. What he posted was the same unguarded defiance he had shown in every other moment since the day he fired 3 shots into a 20-year-old's neck. "I'm not sorry for nothing I did." He added that he was not an evil person. The post spread immediately. Onfroy's mother publicly responded. Fans who had been following the case since 2018 saw it and remembered everything all over again. The clip circulated on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, reaching people who had never heard of Boatwright and people who had never forgotten him. The irony of the post, that the same man whose own phone had betrayed him through searches and location pings and Bluetooth connections to a getaway vehicle, was now once again using a phone to broadcast his state of mind from inside a prison, was not lost on anyone. 1 month later, Dedrick Williams made a different kind of move. In November 2024, his attorneys filed an appeal brief arguing that Drake, the Toronto rapper whose public feud with Onfroy had been extensively discussed during the original trial, should be reconsidered as an alternate suspect. The brief pointed to an Instagram post and cited the old enmity between the two artists as grounds for reasonable doubt. Drake had already been subpoenaed during the original trial. He had already been excused by the judge. Investigators had explicitly ruled out any celebrity involvement throughout the proceedings. Allen had stated under oath that no one outside the group was involved. The appeal produced no new evidence. As of early 2026, the convictions have not been overturned, and Williams remains at Wakulla Correctional Institution, serving life without parole. Boatwright's own direct appeal, filed as Michael Boatwright versus State of Florida, case number 4D-12-23-0975, was denied by the Florida District Court of Appeal in 2025. The court rejected arguments about severance from co-defendants and challenges to the sufficiency of the evidence. The convictions stand. The sentences stand. Robert Allen, in the meantime, had been building something quieter. In September 2025, the court granted him permission to travel across the United States for work as a licensed CDL truck driver. His address remains sealed. His probation remains active. No violations have been reported. No new charges have been filed. He is somewhere on a road in the United States on probation until 2043, driving. In March 2026, the story went viral again, not because anything new had happened, but because the internet had found it again. Facebook pages, Instagram accounts, Threads posts, and X threads recirculated mugshots and old news clips under headlines reading XXXTentacion murder, suspect Robert Allen released after 5 years. Many of the posts placed the release in 2025. Some framed it as a brand new development. Allen had in fact been released in October 2023, more than 2 years before the posts began circulating. The outrage the posts generated was real. The timeline was wrong. But the underlying question the viral wave was really asking, the one that doesn't have a clean legal answer, was the same question it has always been. Is what Allen received actually justice? The prosecutorial answer is coherent and documented. Lead prosecutor Pascal Achille said it plainly in closing arguments. Plans hatched in hell do not have angels for witnesses. Co-conspirator testimony comes from co-conspirators. Without Allen, the masks might still be anonymous, the roles might still be disputed, and 3 men might still be in the kind of legal limbo that erodes cases over time. The deal was the mechanism by which the other 3 received the sentences they received. The human answer runs differently. Onfroy was 20 years old, shopping for motorcycles, with $50,000 in a bag he had legally withdrawn from his own bank account. 4 men recognized his car, confirmed his identity, bought masks in his presence, waited 8 minutes and 35 seconds in a parking lot, blocked his exit, robbed him at gunpoint, and then shot him 3 times after the robbery was already over. One of those 4 men, the one who said it was a bad idea and took the money anyway, is driving a commercial truck somewhere in the United States today. The other 3 will die in cells with stainless steel beds. Robert Allen broke his silence in a police interrogation room. He broke it again on a witness stand. He broke it one final time in a sentencing hearing before a judge who accepted his remorse as sincere. The 3 men who said nothing, admitted nothing, and showed nothing in every public moment available to them, the verdict, the sentencing, the prison Instagram post, are now paying for the silence they chose to keep. That is what speaking cost Allen. That is what silence cost everyone else. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cars on your screen.